The Renew podcast features inspiring conversations between host Lauren Martin and influential women shaping the real estate industry. Renew is a rent-free initiative to unite and cheer on women professionals from every corner of the real estate world, coast to coast.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Renew podcast presented by Rent Spree. I am so excited to have Emily Terrell with us today. Welcome. To get us
Hello.
started, we're going to ask you your pop quiz question. So, this one, just looking at your Instagram, I thought this would be very fitting for you.
Oh, goodness.
If somebody were to make a Hollywood movie about your life, what celebrity would you think would play you?
So when I was younger, I used to be told that I look like Julia Roberts a lot. More lately, though, and more true to my personality would probably be, oh gosh, what's her name? Emma Watson?
Oh, I can totally see it.
Yeah,
You
I get that a
look
lot.
like her too.
I do. And then also similar personalities as well, so that would work out.
Yeah, I totally see that.
Hmm.
Well, welcome to the Renew podcast presented by Rent Spree, where we aim to elevate female voices, share insights on how to navigate industry challenges, and showcase the remarkable achievements of women in real estate. I'm your host, Lauren Martin, and today we have a very special guest joining us. Emily is a real estate coach, speaker, and powerhouse businesswoman affiliated with the Tom Ferry organization. Emily has built a thriving real estate business while coaching agents nationwide on how to grow with intention and show up authentically. She's passionate about helping women create lives they love and on their own terms. Welcome, Emily. We're so excited to
Oh,
have you.
yeah, thanks for having me. I love doing this. This is kind of a passion project for me, is getting to talk to people.
Well, we are so excited to have you. Actually, a little background on Emily. You guys probably know Eileen, our listeners. She's on the Renew team. She was at the 1,000 Watt conference and she saw Emily and she came back. She was on the plane. She was texting me, "We need her on the podcast. I loved her so much." Um,
Oh yeah, that was an interesting talk. Okay, MySpace and Snoop Dogg came up in that talk. It was very fun and interesting.
you know what? I was just talking about MySpace yesterday. Do you have an Xanga by any chance? Do you remember what that was?
No, I didn't do that, but I mean, I started, and I don't know why it came up, but I was like, okay, guys, I don't know why, but I was like, oh, I met my husband because of MySpace, and I was like, oh, so in case you're wondering how old I am, I'm MySpace old. About half the people in the room got it. I was
Yeah,
like, okay, cool. The ones that got it, they know. The ones that awkward laugh, I'm older than you. It's fine.
right. They don't know the pain of choosing their top five friends, you know?
Exactly. Like the top five friends. And then, you that was when we all were coders, right? Because we could actually
Right,
code our profiles.
right.
It was a wild time. Okay. It was a
It was a
wild
wild
time.
time.
Hmm.
If somebody pulled up my MySpace and played the songs that I had on my
Oh,
like background when you logged in, I'd be very embarrassed.
yes. I just recently cleaned out my mom's house about a year ago and found my CD collection from that time. So,
Oh my gosh, the
yeah,
mixtapes.
all
Nobody
of
will
it.
understand.
Yeah, it was, my kids were very confused. We'll say we're very confused.
That's hysterical.
Hmm.
Well, speaking of our past, to get us started, I would love if you could just tell our listeners a little bit about you and kind of how you got to where you are today.
Sure. So I've been an agent for going on a decade now. And that, eventually evolved and become the coaching and speaking and stuff like that. But before I was an agent, right before I had kids, I ran a marketing department. So, when the phone rings and they're like, "Hey, can we talk to you about your car's extended auto warranty?" I worked for two different companies, but one of them was that extended auto warranty company. Now, my job was different. My job was actually to make our phones ring. So I enticed you to call into us. I mean, I was very good at it, right? I lived in spreadsheets. I had a crazy marketing budget. My budget for marketing was bigger than our payroll, which is crazy,
Wow.
right? I mean, we had a ton of employees. We had like hundreds of employees. Um, but in saying that, so like I spent a ton of money, and then I had kids. Actually, I had my first kid, not kids. I had my first kid, and I realistically I came back to work too fast. I took the 6 weeks, but I should have taken the 3 months, right? I came back too fast. And of course, when I come back, you still are all, full of emotions. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to spend time with my child. So I didn't really pick a great daycare. So I decided to be a stay-at-home mom. And so I thought I was going to love it. Really did. I tried. I realized though that my personality did not lend well to it. One of the biggest and the hardest things for me, and this was actually the hardest thing for me to do, was I, my husband, he made really good money, he has a great job, but he actually, like, I felt guilty spending the money, even though, it was our money, we're married, but I still felt guilty of not contributing financially to my marriage. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to do something. When we sold our house, because we used to live in the Dallas area, when we sold our house, it looked so easy. Real estate seems so fun and easy. So I got my license, and then kind of it went from like 0 to 60 for me really quickly. Um,
Mhm.
but that's kind of how I got started. That's how I ended up getting towards real estate because it was going to be so fun and easy for me.
Great. It's just a walk in the park for sure.
Yeah, anybody can do it. Don't worry about the 86% of agents don't renew the first time. Didn't even know that at the
Right.
time.
It doesn't apply to you, you know?
Didn't
It
apply. It
doesn't.
didn't apply. Yeah. And I mean, it worked out well, right? Because of, where I am now and everything like that. But it was still, I mean, that was just kind of how I got started. Now I found that what's great about it is I have a passion for it, right? And I was really good, but it was still, I mean, I went from just highly ambitious. And so it worked out. And I actually get to spend a lot more time with my kids because I have that flexibility in my schedule now.
That's awesome. Well, I totally get that, and I think that will resonate a lot with a lot of our female listeners, especially the spending the money part. Yeah, I felt that
Hmm.
way my whole life. Were you like that as a kid too? Because I remember, like, I didn't like spending my parents' money. I wanted to earn it.
Well, I was a little different. I grew up, so my parents were divorced since I was like 3.
Mm,
And then eventually my mom had my little brother, but basically my mom was a single mom, right? And I spent time with my dad and absolutely like that. But
right.
I grew up with a single mom, so we grew up in a single wide trailer. Now, granted, it was a nice, like my mom kept a very nice home. It was clean, but realistically, we didn't have a ton of money. Like my
Yeah.
mom, we didn't move into an actual like slab stick built home until I think I was like 13. So it
Wow.
was very, yeah. And so it was, I just grew up, loved, cared for, but you know, we didn't have a lot of vacations. I don't think I rode an airplane till I was 16 years old, right? So it was just a very different way of growing up. So I kind of, I learned to think about money in a little bit of a different way since I was younger, since not growing up with it. So
Yeah.
it kind of just changed the way I look at it. And so
Right.
me getting into, being married, and I went from, when my marketing job, like when I worked for that company that I worked for, I made a decent amount of money. So I went from doing a decent amount of money to nothing was really hard for me.
Yeah. That is really hard, especially when you have a husband, like you said, that it does really well for himself and
Yeah.
wanting to feel like an equal partner. Do you think that, Renew is all about strong female influences? I'd love to hear just a little bit more about your mom. She seems like a cool lady, and how that
Yeah.
kind of influenced you growing up.
Well, I mean, she was, what's really funny is I kind of, I learned a really big, it's the biggest lesson I learned from my mom, but it's not the lesson that you'd think, right? And this actually influences, and I've learned this is a lesson more of I've influenced from, um, like towards my coaching side of it. But my
Mhm.
mom was the type of person that she ran everything in her head. Right? She worked for a company for 40 years before she passed away. And so she ran the entire job in her head. I mean, it was crazy. You could call her in the middle of the night because she was the manager of the rental department of, it was a company called Holt Company of Texas, right? So
Mhm.
if you wanted to rent a generator from her company, you were going to talk to her. And you could
Okay.
call her at any time. And she has a very large company. It's a very large company. But if you could call her at any time, I mean, you could wake her up from a dead sleep and she will, from memory, know exactly which generators are available, what size you need, where it's
Wow.
located, and what driver, because they use third-party drivers to deliver them, what company and specific driver would be the easiest and best So, I mean, she knew all like everything from her mind. And so, you know, when she like, and what it taught me though is that she never took a break. When she passed away, they had to pay almost a year of her salary because of her unused vacation days.
Oh my gosh.
And it seems like this accomplishment, but in reality, it's not, right? I mean,
Right.
and I love her and I love that she was able to provide for us, but it's not that great of an accomplishment because she realistically like didn't take the time
Right.
to take the vacation. She was all, even when we did go on vacation, she did work all the time. And the crazy thing is, and what she learned is that when she did pass away, when she was sick for a little while before she passed away, she, she actually got really upset that they never called her. They didn't
Oh.
call her to ask her questions. And so
Because she,
for me,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, and what it taught me was is number one, and I was already like I'd always wanted to spend time with my kids, but I really like value that time I have with them. And when
Mhm.
I want to take a vacation, I take a vacation. I mean, I work really hard. I travel a lot, so when I want to take a vacation, I do. And then in
Right.
addition to that, I don't run anything here anymore. I used to because I have the capability to. She was really great at it, but I get it all out of my head
Yeah.
because if it's in my head, I have to do it. I
Right.
can't ever leverage anybody else. I can't delegate anything. I can't systemize it. I can't do anything, right? I can't even, I mean, how is AI even going to help me? Like anything. I can't do any of that if it's all around in my head.
Yeah.
So it taught me, and it may not have been her intention. She was trying, teaching me work ethic and all this stuff by her examples. It wasn't necessarily her intention, but it is the lessons that really have guided me towards like how I coach people and being able to help people like really like get off the hamster wheel, right?
Yeah.
And be able to take that vacation.
Yeah, for sure. Especially because, and I'm sure you felt this when you went on maternity leave, but even for me, I struggle with when I go on vacation and it's silent. I'm like, well, I tell them, hey, I'm on vacation. Please don't call me unless it's an emergency. And then everything goes silent. And I'm like, well, why don't they need me?
Yeah.
Why aren't they calling me? And it's because, like you said, set up good systems, and if you delegate, then it helps people kind of help you along the way. So I think
Yep.
that's really important that you learn from
Yeah.
her.
Well, and it's honestly probably why I went back, from maternity leave so fast
Yeah.
is because I thought in my mind that I was letting someone else down.
Yeah.
And in reality, like I should have taken longer, but you know,
Yeah.
it is what it is. Looking back now, I will tell you, with my youngest though, because I was in real estate, he actually stayed home with me for 9 months. It was a totally different thing, right? I was
Yeah.
like, nope, I'm keeping all the babies squishy hugs and stuff like that. I still worked, because we're in real estate's a little different, right? But
Mhm.
I kept him home with me the entire time, and I just had someone come in and help watch him, like at my house with me a couple days a week,
Mhm.
so that I could like make calls and I can actually interact and go to showings and stuff.
That's awesome. That's awesome that you did it differently the second time around. I feel like a lot of the times, and it kind of leads into my next question, but we don't learn from our mistakes necessarily. And it's not even a mistake, maybe to call it, just things you wish you would have done differently.
Yeah.
One of the questions that I have for you, and this is a question that I think we don't talk about enough, is what are some of the struggles that you faced as a woman that you had to overcome?
Oh. Okay, I have two, right? I have two. Um, One is the mom guilt, right? That's huge. Like we feel guilty for leaving our kids, right? Like right now. I mean, even right now, as we're filming this, my kids are like they're older now. They're 7 and 11, right? But I feel guilty that I'm not doing anything with them, that I'm here filming this, right? Because they have the day off of school. And now, granted, I am gonna go and spend the afternoon with them, but you still feel guilty that they're not doing anything, right? So it's always like you always as a parent, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a dad, so I cannot speak for dads. But as a mom, like there's always this level of guilt, right? There's always the am I spending enough time or feeling guilty. Like one year on my son's birthday, I had a speaking engagement on my youngest son's birthday. And oh my God, it was horrible, right? Like I felt so bad. And it was something that I had committed to that they hired me for. And so I'm like, and they couldn't change it. We couldn't change it. It is what it was. There were a lot of other factors, but I still felt horrible, right? Because and even though I did a lot for them, I still, you always kind of have that like, Am I doing enough? Are they going to remember this in the back of your mind? Am I working hard enough to give them the best opportunity? Am I setting the best example? Right? There's just always that. Now, the other thing, and this is a little different, and it may just be a me thing that I get, but one thing that I struggle with is the actualies. And this is kind of more personal. I wouldn't say all women deal with this, but I
Right.
definitely do. You know, Emily, you actually gave some really good content.
Yeah.
Don't take offense to this, but you are actually a lot smarter than I originally thought you were going to be. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, and again, I don't know if it just happens to me. I don't know if it's the blonde. I don't know if it's the bubbliness, but it is something that now I find it amusing, right? I find it super amusing to get it, but it is something that like it does happen, right? And it's not necessarily like, and as you know, I'm kind of just expected, I guess, to listen to the comments and not get offended, right? I'm expected to be okay with a backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
And I'm just supposed to roll with it. And I mean, it is what it is, I guess. Again, I find them amusing now that they happen. I used to get really offended,
Yeah.
and I find it amusing, but I think it happens way more than women are for what, like that they're willing to admit,
Right.
and that, you know, I think it happens way more, we accept it way more than we should.
Yeah, I remember that happens to me all of the time. I remember in college one time I went to fashion school originally, which I think I told you, and then
Hmm.
I went back to school for business, and I was working in my economics class. We had this big project, and I got paired up with this guy, and he was like a college bro through and through. And I sat down, I was like, I think this is what we should do our study on. This is what I think I should do and you should do, and we should come together. And he's like, whoa, I thought you were actually going to be like really dumb. And I was like, just slow blinking at him. And I wanted to be like, well, what would lead you to think that?
Yeah.
And I didn't say anything. But in my mind, then the next like month, I thought to myself, is it because I wear pink all the time? Is it because I'm blonde? Is it because yeah, exactly. Um,
Yep.
I'm super bubbly. What leads you to believe I'm dumb? And
Yep.
that's come up a lot in my life, so I totally get it.
Yeah. And what's really funny is for me, and this is for me, it's more women than men.
Yeah, for sure. Because
Hmm?
nobody goes up to a guy and is like, "Oh, I thought you
No,
were
no,
gonna."
no. I mean, it's more women that say
Oh,
that to me than men.
oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow. I feel
Yeah.
like I get it more from men than women, but
Ah, nope. I like it's probably 90% women. I guess they're just more comfortable. I'm not sure. I mean, so I'm kind of I do my best not to backhand compliment people
yeah,
in that way, right? And it's just kind of something I'm like really, like, did you say
yeah.
that?
I had a friend that had a really bad way of back. She would be like, "Oh, that's a nice outfit for you."
Yeah, it's not for me, but it's amazing for you.
Yeah. What do you mean? What do you mean about that? Uh,
Yeah.
so we talk a lot at Renew about how women empowerment is difficult because there's women out there that really want to champion others and bring each other up. And then there's some women that are very protective over their seats at the table, right? Like, I've made it up in this organization. I'm the one woman at the table. There's not room for more.
Hmm.
So they don't really want to cultivate and bring other people up. So I wonder maybe if it's just from severe insecurity and fear that
Oh
they
yeah. I mean, 100%, right? I mean, and honestly, the crazy thing is a lot of times I don't ever feel like whoever says this to me means it in a bad way. They're not
right,
trying to tear me down. They truly were not expecting whatever information I was going to provide.
right,
And so in their mind, they truly were surprised. And when it's said to me, it's said in a way that's like, I just want to tell you how great you're doing. They just say it in a way that's not, they could just say, like, that was amazing. They could
right,
just say that, not, I didn't expect you to do as well as you did, right?
right.
Like
Yeah.
it just sometimes it's just the way we say it that conveys a different feeling to
Yeah.
people.
For sure. And I think it all definitely boils down to communication. And it's so easy to just be like, wow, you were so great. That was amazing. And not
Yep.
say, I didn't expect you to be amazing.
Yeah.
So, well, that kind of, I did a lot before this of looking through your Instagram. I definitely was
Oh.
an Instagram viewer. I loved all your videos. You did one on Taylor Swift. I saw the talk you did on Taylor Swift.
Oh,
It was awesome.
yeah. Yeah.
But one message that I think you really talk about is just living your authentic self and
Yeah.
being proud of the life that you live. So, if you don't mind, just telling our viewers a little bit about what that means to you.
So, for me, so when it comes to speaking, right? I do this thing, and my husband, he calls it my waitress personality. Because back in the day, I used to wait tables, and he used to, and this is when we were dating, he used to hate coming to the restaurants I worked at because he's like, Emily, you're always borderline inappropriate, right? Like there's always like a borderline of inappropriateness for Emily. And he goes, but here's the deal. He goes, you mirror and match people's personalities so well that a lot of times when you're waitressing, you don't even realize it. You change it a little bit. And
Hmm.
he's like, and it's not something you do, but so you used to hate coming there. Well, what I have found is I'm going to call myself an adult because, yeah, granted, I was probably like 21, 22 at the time, but that's not adulting. No offense to the 21, 22-year-olds, but now looking back, that's for me was not an adult. But
Right.
anywho, I found that when I first started speaking, Waitress Emily came out. And it's not a bad thing. If you don't know me, you didn't realize that I just became a little bit more appropriate, just a
Yeah.
little bit more buttoned up, right? But it was also quite a bit more boring, right? So one day I just internally I said, F it. I'm just going to be me. And so I did. I just started being me. And that kind of really started playing out in everywhere, right? Like I am who I am, and it's you're gonna like me or not. And if you don't, that's okay. I'm not gonna get offended by it. Right?
Right.
Because I don't need to be best friends with everybody. I mean, I do make best friends with a lot of people, right? I call it the 30-second best friends. Like, I can tell you're my vibe if I make best friends with you within the first 30 seconds. It happens kind of a lot.
Hmm.
But anywho, like, I don't have to be best friends with everybody.
Hmm.
And that's okay, right? I'd rather have my core group than with that. So because of that, I'm just me, right? I'm unapologetic about it. I mean, I cuss and wear crop tops all the time. And I'm okay with that, right? And what I found for me is that my tribe is actually larger and I'm able to build more lasting relationships because people, when they see me, whether it's on Instagram or hear me talk in person and see me on a webinar or they meet me in person, they get Emily. They get the
Right.
real Emily all the time. And so it's not exhausting to bring this more polished persona. It's me. And they
Right.
get that all the time.
Well, I love that. One thing when I first started speaking on stage, I had somebody that told me, "Hey, maybe you shouldn't wear pink." I was like, I'm gonna wear a pink suit, whether you like it or not. I don't know. Fire me. I don't know. But and I'm a jokester at heart. I love making people laugh, and I feel like one of the keys to public speaking is to get people to laugh and get people out of their comfort zone. So I told this whole big long story joke about how I've always wanted to be Barbie and live in my Barbie dream house. And one day I woke up and I realized I'm never going to be Barbie, but I'm going to be special edition Lauren Barbie, and that's
There you
enough.
go. Yeah.
We're all special edition, and I think special edition Emily Barbie, is out there just
Yeah.
being herself in a crop top, and that's
Mildly inappropriate F-bombs everywhere. It's fine.
totally fine. And you
Yeah.
know what? Like you said, not everybody's gonna like you, and that's okay. I think that's a reality a lot of women need to come to is not everybody is going to like you. I wish that
Yeah.
I could tell myself that, when I was in high school trying to befriend everybody. It's just
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. And they're not, and it's okay, right? Like I am completely okay with it.
Right.
Right? I mean, it's fine. I mean, I'm a 99D, 99I.
Hmm.
I am not everybody's cup of tea,
Right.
and I'm fine with that because and what's funny is that the talk that I did just recently, where I talk about the whole idea of your vibe attracts your tribe, which is, I didn't actually talk about that as being a good thing, right? Because sometimes people
Mhm.
vibe too hard and it limits your tribe. But
Right.
also on the flip side of that, right? Like you're going to attract the people that get you and that work with you. I also, I love to say this thing, and it applies to like how we do brand building, right?
Mhm.
Is people, they don't like, when, like as a real estate agent, right? They don't typically choose to work with me because they liked the marketing piece that I put out, right?
Right.
They don't choose to work with me. They work with me because they see themselves in me,
Right.
right? And how we provide that is just, your voice being authentic and actually showing who you are so that, other people that, want to work with you, that see themselves in you, they're going to become your customers. They're going to become your clients.
Yeah. And I feel like that's the key too, not just with marketing your personal services, but I think a lot of big organizations can take that, even marketing products, right? Like we buy products that we see ourselves in. We buy products that we feel like fit our life. And I think that the more authentic people are, the more you're drawn towards their organization or their
Yep.
services.
Yep.
Sure.
Oh yeah. And I mean, it's highly true in products, right? And some of that has to do with the psychology of like men and how they buy versus how women buy and stuff like that, right? There's a lot of science to it. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it is like creating the idea of a lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Like whether it's selling houses or you're selling products, it's creating that lifestyle and creating the brand, because essentially like being true to yourself is about building your brand, right? And creating that brand in which you're going to reach that right audience or reach the right people that want to work with you.
When I was in my fashion era, I was a merchandiser. I started out in design. I moved over to merchandising. When I was in school, I studied buying behavior. It's a lot of like psychology behind it. And then when I actually put it to work, I worked for a big fashion designer and I did their East Coast
Hmm.
merchandising. And it's crazy, the smell, like the perfume that's sprayed in the store, the lighting when you walk in, the greeting that you give people, all the way to how you wrap up their stuff. Like it is that entire life cycle providing them an entire
Hmm.
vibe, right? I think you put it
Yep.
perfectly. It's the vibe. And then it makes you want to go back or it makes you want to
Yep.
work with the person again.
Yep.
So,
It's all about the experience,
yeah,
right?
for
It's what
sure.
attracts them and then the experience that they get after it, whether it's in a clothing store, whether it's, on the real estate side, whether it's a speaking engagement. It's all about the entire experience that someone has.
For sure. Well, into our next question, I think it kind of fits. But as someone who's focused around building their business that fits into your life and not
Hmm.
really the other way around, what do you do to keep that mindset?
Ooh, I mean, realistically, I always have goals, right? I'm always refining them. Um, but I mean, that's a big part of it, right? Like I look at things and I'm always like, okay, how does this fit or work with what my ultimate goal is? Right? Like
Right,
what do I have working on now? And I'll tell you this, if you reach your goals too quickly, then they weren't big enough goals,
right.
right? But it's always that. It's always that plan. It's always thinking, okay, where do I go from here? And that's
Right.
kind of a big part of mindset. I also am very specific about things. Like, for example, I actually just had this conversation with one of my clients. He's kind of in a funk right now. And he was like, Emily, I just don't know if I want to work. I just don't have like the mindset. I don't want to do anything. And he goes, there was an old coaching program that he used to follow. And he's like, maybe I should go out and buy a new truck or go buy a Rolex. And I was like, I would I would never tie my happiness or my motivation to buying something. And he's like, "What? Why not?" And I was like, "Well, because you're gonna get that dopamine, you're gonna get that hit right when you buy it, and then you're stuck making the payments like on a truck. You're stuck making the payments for 5 years, and the motivation's gonna wear off in like a month.
Right.
So unless you plan on like being motivated enough to pay that thing in cash, why would you saddle yourself with a liability
Right.
to try to motivate you?" So I always look at like where I'm gonna be. Like I would rather continue to drive my 2021 Volkswagen Atlas that I don't owe any money on
Right.
until it dies, then go and saddle myself with, let's be real, cars are like $75,000 now, right? Like
Yeah.
then saddle myself with a massive liability. And so for me, it's like I said, it's always about where I'm going. And then even on the things like how I'm going to spend my day today, it's like, okay, but what is that doing to like serve my goals? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not like 100 miles an hour every second of the day. That's exhausting, right? But at least like when I'm doing stuff, I'm intentional with
Right.
how I do it and how I spend my time.
Yeah, for sure. Like last time we talked, we were both going to go take a nap afterwards,
I
you
did.
know? It's totally
I did.
okay to take a nap.
I did.
And
Took a solid
it's
2 hour nap that
definitely not
day.
perfect. That's great.
Well, it is because I mean, it is. I mean, that was my version of a reward, right?
Right.
Was like I accomplished a lot that day. I think I had like 10 coaching calls and the
Yeah.
meeting with you. I was done, right? And that's, but I was still also able to spend time with my kids, and I still did a lot. But it was just, it's putting together, that way of motivating myself to just keep going.
Yeah, I mean, we all have to take time for ourselves, right? Like a healthy work-life balance. And I feel like taking a nap is a much better reward than a $75,000 car payment. So,
Exactly, right?
for sure.
Exactly.
I paid my car off and it was having like engine troubles, and I was like, fix it. I don't want a new one. I like not making a car payment.
Right? I mean, honestly, for like maybe 3 car payments, you could have your engine fixed and then still not have a car payment.
Right, exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. So the last thing that I really just want to ask you in this segment is, what do you like to do for fun? I know you have a family and two sons, but
Yeah.
your hobbies and
So,
pastimes.
well, for the most part, our big thing that we do every year, and it's actually about to happen, is we have an RV. And so we take it down to the beach, and it goes down to the beach in May, sometimes in May, and then it doesn't come back from the beach until September. So while the kids are out from school, which is typically Memorial Day through like the first week in August, we go down to the beach and we
That's
stay there almost exclusively. Like we don't come home. So that's like our big thing that we do every summer and we've done it for the last, I think since my youngest was 2, right? So we've done it for like the last 5 years, and we spend the entire time there. Both my husband and I have desks inside our RV, so we're both able to work from there. And so we get to spend the entire summer every day. I'm in over here in Texas. I'm at the beach in Texas, and every day I get to see the water or at the pool or we're doing something, right? And then my kids just get to like where our RV sits. They get to ride bikes. They get to go play pickleball. There's other kids there. So they are living their 100% best life.
for sure.
And that's like our big thing. And in fact, actually, next weekend, so the following weekend from now, we're actually taking it down so we can set it up and it can be all ready to go when we move down there for the summer.
That's awesome. Those are like lifetime memories
Oh
for them
yeah.
for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All water parks and stuff. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. Well, and I'm a big fan of experiences over stuff.
Hmm.
And so they get, I wasn't, my mom, we couldn't afford to do that when I was younger. So I'm beyond like excited, blessed, grateful that I can provide this for my kids and I can provide this experience for them while growing up.
That's awesome. Well, I am so excited to continue the conversation, but that includes part one. Stick around, everybody, for part two. Coach Emily and I are going to talk about fun things like AI, something she's extremely passionate about. But thank you, everybody who listened to part one. Please remember to like and subscribe to the Renew podcast on whatever pod platform you listen to us on. And Emily, thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one.